Hello everyone, Serenity here. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Zero to Hero. Now in this episode, we're going to continue to talk about the tokenomics model, specifically taxes and fees. Now this is not the funnest thing for any of us, but it is something we need to understand. How do they work and what to look out for? But first, if you would, please do me a huge favor. Take a moment, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification sorted every time I upload a new video. Some of this information can be time sensitive. Most importantly, as always, if you're finding this helpful or entertaining and you're learning and growing, share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker. Let them know they don't have to be college educated or rich or tech savvy. They simply have to have a desire to change their life and a courage to follow that dream. And they too can join us on this great crypto adventure. So without further ado, let's go dive into taxes. Now, before we get going in this, I want to make one thing totally clear. When I'm talking taxes and fees in this episode, this is not the federal government. This is the protocol themselves and what taxes and fees they have associated with operating within a certain protocol. Now, every protocol has different variables. They have different percentages, different operations on how they bring taxes in, take them out, things like that. So please understand, this is a very generic version. And to get the details, we really need to dive into the white paper, which is basically a business model document. And we'll do that in a future episode to really understand. But I need you to know that this is one, not the federal government, and two, every project has its own set of fees and also their allocations, how that operates. So let's go look at some examples real quick. Okay, now in this image, I've set up an example of buy and sell taxes. So we're going to go through these. In this specific example, we're going to say the token price is $1, the buy tax is 10%, and the sale tax is 10%. Okay. So on this, we've dealt with the liquidity pool in the last episode. So we know how this operates. We're not going to draw and go through all that part. We're really talking about money in, tokens out, and then tokens in, and then money out. How is that broken down? Now, over here on the left, we see the purchaser's wallet. That would be us. If we're going to go into a protocol, whether we're paying with dollars or we're paying with a stable coin or something like that, it really doesn't matter. What matters is the value of that. So $100 worth of value, we're going to buy into this project that has a 10% buy tax. That means we're going to put $100 in. On the other side, we're going to get their tokens. We're going to get 90% of the tokens, totaling 90 tokens. With a 10% tax, their 10% is going to come out over here and go to the protocol wallet. So even though we put in 100 tokens worth, we're only getting 90 tokens out. Okay, that's a buy tax. Now, there's a couple different ways this can go, and this is where it gets really, really important to understand and read up on the white paper and understand exactly how are these taxes being used, as well as when are they coming out. And I want to give you a real quick example built off the liquidity pool video we did. If this protocol takes out 10 tokens for the $100 we put in, what do you think is going to happen to that liquidity pool when they turn around and they sell that $10 back into the liquidity pool and take the $10 out to go pay a developer or for the servers or something like that? They are going to actually drive the token price down. So this is a really interesting aspect. Now, some different models of this is there's one project in particular that they take their taxes out before it ever hits this section here, the dollar side. They'll take out 10% of the stable coin before it hits that. And that way, when they go to pay the fees or things like that, their developers don't sell those tokens back, driving the price down. So it's really important to understand the model in which they're utilizing these taxes. Now, the next part I want to talk about is a sale tax. So this is essentially when we're going to buy out of a protocol, we're going to sell our tokens back in, and they're going to have a 10% tax here. So in our example here, the token price is still $1, our liquidity pool here. We have our 90 tokens that we initially got. We sell them back to the protocol to get our cash out. Well, their sale tax can come out where they take the tokens out before it hits the liquidity pool, or it can come out on the other side after it's been transformed into dollars. They take their 10% out, equaling $9, leaving us a total purchaser at the end of the game of $81. And that would be if nothing changed. If the token price didn't change, if there's no earnings, nothing like that, we just bought in for 10% and we bought out for 10%, we could expect $19 loss on that. So it's really important to go into this with a plan. So know what you're getting into, do your due diligence, and we're going to learn through all this when we go through white papers and really break down the tokenomics when we're deciding, is it a project we even want to get into? And if it's not, that's okay. There's always new projects coming out. But understanding this basic concept of buy and sell taxes is going to give us some insight when we go into those deep dives. So at this point in time, you're probably saying, hey, Serenity, why would I buy into anything if I'm going to lose 20%? That's just crazy, right? Well, maybe it is. But what if you have the chance to double your money? Then 20% isn't that bad, is it? Or maybe 10 times your money. So if I'm going to put $100 into a project and I lose 10% at the beginning, $10, and then it doubles itself, turning that $90 into $180, and then coming out I pay $18 taxes, well, I'm still way up on that. So that's where we really have to do our due diligence, make our plan before we go in. We have to decide, is it right for us? So that's why we always push that so hard. But I've got some great pointers for you to help you avoid or reduce your taxes, both going in and coming out. And these are things you need to know up front. So to reduce your buy taxes, a couple tricks there. The first one is called a whitelist. Now, a whitelist is if you get into their community on Discord or Twitter or Telegram early, one of the first people in, you're very active in the community, you can oftentimes earn a whitelist. And this is essentially almost like a VIP pass into the protocol. Oftentimes it'll get you into what's called a pre-sale. Now, a pre-sale is before the general public can buy into a protocol. They oftentimes have a pre-sale that has no buy tax at all or a reduced buy tax. But be very careful. When you get into those, oftentimes they say, hey, come into the pre-sale. We're going to hold your value until it launches, and then we're going to airdrop you the tokens you bought. So a pre-sale, a lot of times you're not going to get the tokens at that point in time, but you will get a future set date. But frequently those tokens you get have a specific amount of time. They have to stay locked or held in your wallet before you sell. And if you sell too soon, they can hit you with an even bigger tax. So make sure we do our due diligence. We know what we're getting into before we sign up for it. Now, to reduce the sale tax, this is where understanding the vesting period. Vesting period, like I said, with a pre-sale, if it says, hey, we're going to let you get in early, buy with no tax, but you have to hold it for 30 days. That 30 days is what we would call a vesting period. It means we're serious enough to stay committed to keeping our tokens in that protocol for at least this minimum amount of time. Now, if we pull them out before they're fully vested, we could lose a huge amount. So know what you're getting into first. Read and understand the tokenomics. And the number one rule always, never, ever panic sell. Regardless of what you see on the news or reading the newspaper. Don't just run and say, oh my God, I saw an ad said that this is going to crash and burn, so I have to sell right now. No. Definitely take that information. Do your research. Find out, is it real? Is it valid? Or is it just some of the FUD and panic that's out there? Because one of the biggest things we do is react to FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And as soon as that gets in our head, we do some very unwise actions based on emotion. Keep in mind, finances should be based on strategy, should be based on revenue, and should be based on facts. Never, ever should they be based on emotions. So the last part of this I want to talk about is a fee. Now, not every project has fees, but some certain ones do. Node projects, for instance, DAO projects, things like that, where they're going to house, maintain, and you're going to interact regularly. But digging through that white paper and knowing about these fees is really critical. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say if you wanted to set up a fireworks stand in a parking lot. You would go to the owner and say, hey, how much are you going to charge me to set this up? This guy over here could say, okay, you pay me $5 a day and you can set up there. The other one might say, okay, you give me 1% per day and you can set up. So it really is important to understand the structure of the fees as well as the taxes, both buy and sell. Now, when we get into the white papers, we're also going to learn how are those taxes and fees utilized within the protocol? Because that's going to let us know, is it going straight to the team and they're just getting rich off us? Or is it being utilized for advertising or maintenance or things like that? So this is not the most exciting topic, and it's probably one of the most depressing. But it is something it is absolutely critical to understand when we start going into those white papers, digging the tokenomics, and really comprehending what that whole structure looks like. So, as always, I want to thank you so very much for your time. And until next time, have a great night.